So hi, I'm Sophie, and I work with Commons Network, which is a civil society organization based in Berlin and in Brussels, and which has fellows all over Europe, and we try to bring the perspective of the Commons to policy. So we try to have this bridging function where we present new models of organization and creative institutions. So of course there's these things that we're talking about, these new community-based structures, commons-based initiative. They're participatory. They're about co-governance or co-creation. They're about having social and ecological objectives. We see them emerging everywhere and in many different realms, also in the arts, although I'm not personally so familiar with it. And I think digital technologies play a very important role as an enabler, but it's really about people doing things differently, about people taking direct responsibility for their direct joint responsibility for their direct environment. In a often social and ecological sustainable way. So that's great. And one of the things we see is that it's often outside both of the market and the state. It's not so much provided. Traditionally, I think we're very used to having everything being provided by either the market or the state, and a lot of these initiatives are either partly outside of that or totally. So. With Commons Network, and I guess what we talked about, we're talking a lot about building this world. And a lot of people here are actively building this world in their different realms, or in the arts, or somewhere else. We believe that there is a role to, or there is an importance in order to further have this flourishing of the commons, of this initiative, to also reclaim commons and engage with politics and policy in order to make that work. So to engage with the state. And some notes here. So why do we want to engage with the state? Because we think it's an important enabler for some of these institutions to create. Secondly, to prevent further enclosure. Think of copyright law or open science, and requiring that whatever is publicly funded becomes open science, becomes part of the commons. Another principle is that of subsidiarity principle, which is also something that has to be implemented by the state in a way. The idea that if you can, the lowest level of what you can govern something is where it should be governed. So if you don't need to govern it at the European level, you don't need to govern it at the national level. You can govern it locally, so it's closer to the people. So these are just some examples of how it's important to engage with politics and policy as well. And this basically imparts, it implies a large shift in assumptions and in policies. So and what I want to present today is this emerging process, which is relatively new, in the sense that it's called the European Commons Assembly. Let me just name it. The European Commons Assembly is something that's emerged over the last few months, I would say, and it's the idea to have a platform or space, a common space for commons initiatives and people working on commons, and see some have the idea that we should unite, liaise with each other, have common, have solidarity structures, consolidate best practices, and also create visibility for the commons and political presence. So, so this is something that that came out of people working together on different issues, and also thinking we should work across issues. We should not just work in our different realms on open knowledge or the urban commons or maybe the arts, but we should see what are common denominators, how we can work together. So we had a meeting, a big meeting end of May, where about 30 people came together to develop and create this platform, basically. What is it? What can it be? All right, I'll wrap up. What is it? What do we need? What do we want it to be? How can it function? And coming out of that, we will have a call coming out where we invite commoners to join this platform, to join this assembly. We're also having a big event to create also a lot of visibility in the European Parliament. First Commons Assembly meeting in the European Parliament. So what I thought was interesting, what we don't have represented so much is the arts and the needs of the arts. So I wanted to see in a workshop, how can we think about what's the role of the arts, what are the needs of the arts, what could be joint proposals, what could be best practices to share or to consolidate. So in this workshop I'd like to, so I can't do it, I need people from the arts worlds, and I think there's some ideas that have been developed in the former round. So I'd like to, I can talk more about it when we start, but that's what I would like to explore.